How to choose the right music for your video isn't that difficult, but when it comes to choosing the right music for your video, it can really make or break your video. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of an insight into how I work with some music and how to get the best possible music for the video, and I'm going to kind of explain why one piece of music will not fit with a certain piece of video, and so on and so forth. So without any other waffle, let's get into how to choose the right music for your videos. So first off, I'm in Adobe Premiere. I've got some bits of music here. This is one, okay. This is the next piece of music. Very kind of Games of Thrones-y. Kind of got some fun, little bit of a breakbeat stuff. Then we got some really kind of deep and dark trap. We've got some kind of Euro poppy, kind of cheesy-ish vocals, and then we have this. Got some more dancey stuff, and then we have this, which is, you know, a little bit mellow, a little bit sad possibly. So these are pieces of music that I have downloaded from Epidemic Sound, which is who I subscribe to for all of my music. Now I'm going to show you guys a couple of different pieces of footage and how one of these tracks can absolutely make the footage, or it can completely break it and take your viewer right out of the actual video that you put your hard-earned time, energy, blood, sweat, tears, effort, and all of those other things into. So the first one up here is I'm going to get this, which is a drone shot from a place called Treecastle Head down in the west of Ireland. So I'm just going to drag it in here, and we can see, just to play it back. So depending on what kind of music you listen to, you probably will understand that that's kind of Chinese, that's an Asian influence, which doesn't fit this particular piece, which is a kind of a slow moving rotation shot of this amazing piece of landscape. So now we're talking in here, if we bring it in here, because we've got something a bit more epic. See? So when you're thinking about this, what you kind of have to be thinking about is what you've seen first of all. So it's something big, it's epic, it's huge. That's part one. Then you have to look at the speed. So for example, if we put this in here into something a little bit more kind of fun, if I can drag it in, something a little bit more fun. Doesn't really work. So there's a couple of reasons why this particular piece of music works. It's kind of got that medieval tone to match with what we're seeing on screen. It's got a relatively slow enough tempo that matches the actual rotation and the speed of the footage that we're seeing. And that's something that we're going to learn as we're going on in this video, that the speed of your footage can really dictate the type of music that is working. Now, if we look at some of the other pieces of music here, the trap here, the deep one, kind of might work because it's got that foreboding darkness about it. And then if we go over to the last one here, which is very kind of melodramatic and laid back. So for me right now, that piano kind of fits this, but the rotation is too fast. So that needs to be slowed down, which it's 4K 30, so I can't really slow it down at all. But the slower the music, the slower the speed of the footage. So that's one example, right? And I think, as you can see maybe in this, you go, okay, I understand now why some scenes and some music work together and others don't. So for example, if we had, actually let's jump in a new piece of footage. All right, and I've got a huge no-no that you should never break this rule. I'm going to get to that after the next clip. So let's get something, let's go for this one, which is a time lapse. Now lots of people use time lapses. There's a great opportunity to put music into a time lapse because generally for the most part time lapses are silent. So you can do a dedicated kind of a sound mix if you want with sound effects and that. Maybe it's a city scene or whatever. But when it comes to time lapses, there's different ones. Lots of them have energy and motion in it, which again dictates what music you should use. Now, every rule is made to be broken, but think about what your audience are used to seeing and we're probably conditioned to seeing. So let's bring in this time lapse here, which is of a boat. So We can see the Asian style stuff here. The Chinese thing doesn't really work, although immediately you think of boat, you think maybe one of those Chinese junk boats, those, you know, big ones, are kind of castle music. Doesn't really work, or kind of, that may work because it's kind of got that slow, frantic kind of pace about it. But then if we go into our kind of deep and dark trap, doesn't work. It doesn't match the pace of what's going on. And then our vocals can absolutely work with this because it's upbeat. You know, we've got a lot of energy in the scene, and the vocals add energy, and the pacing is good. So again, a lot of it is to the beats per minute and what does fit the scene. Again, something that are kind of Euro poppy thing or dance thing. I'm all wrong in terminology, by the way, so don't you music fans freak out. But as we can see, this works perfectly with the time lapse. It's got that frantic energy about it. It's kind of matching the frantic speed of the waves, and it works really, really, really well. So as we can see with that one, the kind of dancing one, it really works perfectly well because you've got that frantic motion, you've got the super motion, the time lapse. But now, keeping with time lapses, by the way, if we go back to another clip, let's go to this one, which is a bit of a still non-moving time lapse, if that makes any sense to anybody. Doesn't work because it doesn't fit. And one of the tips that I would tell you guys to do is try to envision how Hollywood create this, because that's what people are conditioned to music soundtracks from and film soundtracks. And it's probably a good practice as well to listen and look at how music is used in movies, and listen to a lot of soundtracks. Just dig out Spotify and any of the film stuff there, and you can kind of envision, because the music helps with the emotion. And you could have an amazing video, and if the music is wrong, it completely takes the emotion out of it, while the music can add to the emotion and kind of really elevate what your audience should be feeling when they're watching this and what you want them to feel. Let's take this time lapse here and let's just put it over something else. Doesn't work at all because, again, it's a little bit too fast. However, if we go back over here to our more laid back piano stuff, it's serene. Now we can see with that, because the music is serene, it's kind of a beautiful landscape, and yes, there's a lot of movement in it with the clouds, but because the pan is very slow and that's kind of dictating the viewer's eye, something a little bit laid back, a little bit melodic, and something that's kind of beautiful to match again with what we're seeing on screen. Boom! It just works. All right, now, kind of keeping with time lapses, I've got one other time lapse here. This was taken in Garnish Island, which is off the west coast of Cork. And while we could go, okay, what's the time lapse? Let's get it on here, and let's put it to the last piece of music that we had. It's a bit kind of ponderous. It doesn't match the scene. Because this is kind of a family laid back, it's me and my wife and my two kids, kind of chilling out, having something to eat, having a little bit of fun, a little bit of banter back and forth. Something that is a bit more fun is required to reflect the scene. So you can see how that works with that particular piece. Now, time lapses are a huge part of content creation for a lot of people. They're fun to do, but if the music is wrong, what you're trying to achieve with the time lapse and what you're trying to convey is not going to work. And for the best part, music is a great opportunity to elevate those time lapses up, and it's hugely important for you guys to try again, think, and I'm repeating myself, to envision what you would like to hear with it. As you can see, certain pieces of music work and a lot of them don't, and that's why personally for me, I take a whole ton of time trying to find the right music for the video or for the certain clip. Now, one of the big no-nos is vocals. Nothing wrong with using vocals, by the way. However, the one big no-no with vocals is you do not have a vocal on top of a vocal, and what I mean by that is the following.
So I've left the kids in the jar behind. I've kind of scouted up ahead, which I think we might be here.
Now I know what you're saying, but Vic, the music is too loud. I can bring down the music, alright?
So I've left the kids in the jar behind.
Now you can't really hear the music, which defeats the purpose of having music in the first place. So let's bring this back up a little bit.
So I've left the kids in jar behind. I've kind of scouted up ahead, which I think.
So while you can hear what I'm saying, you can also hear the vocal underneath, and there's a huge vocal clash. Now, for anybody that's still left listening to the radio, you will not get a good radio presenter that will talk over the vocal because it's too confusing. It sounds awful. A lot of radio presenters will talk up to the vocal. That's where the start of the song, for example, will have just beats or guitar or whatever, and then the vocal kicks in, and if they're any good, they will time their intro or whatever they're saying right up until the vocal. So that really is good best practice for you, and that's a huge tip. If you take anything away from this, do not have a song with vocals under you talking. It's too confusing, it's too distracting, it's amateur hour in Dixie, and it just sounds like a badger's butt exploding. So that's a big tip. The main thing that you guys need to take away is the music has to match the scene, has to match the pace, has to reflect the mood. So if it's dark and somber, the music needs to be kind of dark and somber. If it's upbeat, bright and sunny, then the music needs to be upbeat, bright and sunny. And music plays such an important part. And if we look at this video that I made in Texas a couple of last year, around this time last year. So let me stop that there and explain, right? So that's at a rodeo in Fort Worth, which was amazing, by the way. And the idea here is that everything's kind of rock and roll, action sports. Action needs something loud, something violent, something rock, okay? But the music is helping tell the story. So let's go back and let's take a look. And I'm going to pause this as we go on and explain how the music can help you direct all of your cuts. So that's the first part. Miss it? So the video is slowed down with the music. Once the music kicks in again into the next kind of chorus, as it were, or the next segment of music. I'm not that musically minded on the technical terms, but you can see, off we go. And that's a kind of a breakdown where the music is taking a breather. And when the music is taking a breather before it ramps up again to the next part, then that's where we have this footage of these guys and horses and stuff kind of going around, and it gives your video a chance to breathe before we get back into the madness. So as you can see there's a kind of another guitar comes in, like a lead guitar, and that's helping tell the story because we can see with the clowns and stuff that are trying to interact with this, 50-ton mountain of death and destruction, that it helps kind of take that story up and focus on what you're seeing kind of audibly. And again, we're going from slow to fast, so we're going from slow motion, and then as the track edges up another bit, then that's where we're actually speeding it up to kind of from 50% to 100%. And that, I think, is a lot of food for thought for you guys to think about the music when it comes to your videos. Don't just go on to something like Epidemic Sound or Artlist or all the other million music services that are out there and grab the first thing that you find. Take the time to find something that really fits the scene. If you're brand new to creating videos, you're going to suck at this for a while. That's the truth. But the more you do it and the more awareness you have of how you see with your ears, speaking of ears, let me take these off. You need to see with your ears as well, which might sound absolutely bonkers, but the more you can see with your ears, the more your audience can hear with their eyes. Because if you hear exactly what you should be seeing, then it makes perfect sense. That part of this video probably makes no sense to anybody, but it is really good food for thought, because music, repeat myself time and time again. Music plays a huge key. Yeah, you know what? There's tons of royalty free stuff out there. It's great just to grab something and put it under there, and you can find 1,001 videos on YouTube that the music does not fit, and there's probably a reason why you click out of the video, or you go, that wasn't very good. And I guarantee you, a lot of the time, it's what you're hearing, or it's what you're seeing with your ears. It just doesn't fit, because think about it, we're conditioned for years of where dramatic music comes in. John Williams, for example, take a look at Jaws, take a look at the Jaws team and how that adds to the tension before Bruce the Shark turns up and has a nibble. Yeah. Some of you mightn't have seen Jaws, some of you might be too young, some of you might be too old and can't remember it anymore, but that's the kind of thing. Take a look at some of the big blockbuster movies. Take a look at any of the, the movies that John Williams has scored. Take a look at stuff Hans Zimmer has scored. Take a look at Danny Elfman. Take a look at all of those, and, even if it's just in kind of key pivotal scenes, how it makes you feel, because that's the real takeaway here. The music helps your viewer feel something. And if you can get them to feel something, if you can get some emotional reaction, that they're on a high when they're watching the video, or there's a part where they're supposed to be sad and they actually are sad because the music is adding to the tone, boom, you win. Then all you got to do is get the views. But it's really good practice. I hope this has helped you guys. There's some more videos over here if you'd like to check out some of all that we do here on the channel. I've also left a link, an affiliate link for Epidemic Sound, which has an amazing selection of music. You get all my music there. So if you subscribe there, you help me out as well. We'll see you in the next episode of the vlog. And until then, don't stop fighting for yourself.